welcome to the tropical rainforest. I'm Chef Celina, formerly Zookeeper Celina, here in the tropical rainforest building, getting ready to do some diets for our animals here at the zoo. Diets, you may ask? What does that mean? You're thinking of keto diet. The is these specially formulated diets that we have for all our animals here at Franklin Park Zoo and Stone Zoo. If you take a closer look at this small primate diet, we have different things for each animal. So here we have the DeBrazza's monkeys, here are the tamarins, different things that they use, supplements. Over here we have the hoofstock diets. So all of this is specially formulated to meet the nutritional needs of our animals here at Franklin Park. And today you are going to join me, the chef for this afternoon on DeBrazza, to help me make some DeBrazza diets. So the first order of business is to take the recipe off the wall. Julia Child uses a cookbook. We'll set it up here. If you have any questions throughout the course of our cooking show, please feel free to drop them in the chat, as I will be answering them live. Now, because this is a primate diet, PPE, including a mask, here at Tropical Forest we've been wearing masks since before they were cool, because susceptible to diseases like colds or flus, even before COVID-19. As you can see, I'm going to use quite a large knife, so the cut glove just provides me a little extra protection if I were to graze my fingers. And then I'm also going to add to protect the cut glove, and also, again, for PPE purposes, to protect my hand. Now here we have our DeBrazza. It's labeled DeBrazza. This diet was prepped by our staff in the commissary. So we have a specific department that's responsible for prepping all the diets, and then once they come to the areas, we do some of the more minute prep. So you're going to see that in a second. But we thank our commissary technicians and supervisor for sending us this diet. Let's do the big reveal, if I can get it open. Any minute now. All right. Ta-da! So like any good cooking show, my staff, which was me, had some diets done. So we have monkeys here. This is Kippawa's diet. I selected the DeBrazza diet because it's my absolute favorite to prepare. I think it smells delicious. I wish we had Sensovision for you. We also have and Johari. As you can see, these are all labeled with their names. These are what we like to call the hot, all orange. We've got some apple, some orange. What else? Some banana, carrot. And then down here, we've talked about these a lot in Zoo to Use. This is DeBrazza Monkey Chow. So because we're using food that is cultivated, just like we would eat at a restaurant, this is restaurant quality produce that we are serving to our animals here at the zoo. We also have to help ourselves out by matching the nutrients that they need with formulated chows. So just like dog food or cat food, we have monkey chow. I'll show you down here. This is the it's also called leaf eater mini biscuit. So this is also what the lemurs eat. Bins. I think this is alfalfa. It's alfalfa hay that's been pressed into cubes. Kind of gives them a quick shot of calories. Here, this is a good bin to look at because it's got, which is like a cereal that we soak, and then it becomes a slurry for him. He loves that. And then we also have our bird food that we feed up on the roof. Again, this would be soaked a little bit. So you can see everything is slightly a different size, and that's the first most important thing of being a zoo chef. You have to understand how your animal eats. So we're doing primate diets. We're doing DeBrazza specifically. The DeBrazzas are smaller primates with little beards. That beard, fun fact, was just for fun. It doesn't have anything to do with how they eat. But you can see that this chow is not as big as a gorilla biscuit, which would be about that big, and it's not as big as the Alf cubes, which go into Cleo's mouth, which is big and huge. You can also see I've diced up this produce specifically to be able to be eaten by a DeBrazza. They also have hands, so they can pick stuff up and peel the orange off the peel, and then they'll eat the pith, which is this white stuff here. So you have to always be thinking about how does your animal eat food and how do they also process food. For example, the sloth prefers to hold hers, so we cut them into sticks. She doesn't just like to eat from the bowl. These guys, again, they hold it, so you want to give them a little room to hold it. So the diet we're going to be preparing today is Kiazi and Scout's. Scout is the youngest member of our DeBrazza troop. So she doesn't yet have her own bucket because she's still pretty young. All of these diets are graded based on how old the animals are. So once they wean, once they stop breastfeeding, the diet goes up. When they hit a certain age, the diet goes up. Everything is calculated exactly to how old they are and what life stage they're in. So we have here the high-profile items. I like to alphabetize them. It helps me keep things in order, especially because the diets are written in order. So we'll do Scout's first. So I've already put her chow in. The DeBrazzas also like black cherry juice on their chow. So let's give it a little splash, a little something special here. The other ones I've already done. We'll do Kiazi and Scout. Scout's got her little piece of banana already in there. And let's get chopping. So again, we're practicing proper safety here. And we're just giving them sort of bite-sized pieces. I have my scale, I'm tearing it. She gets 11 grams of apple. It's pretty small. And then the rest I know is for Kiazi because I've already done everybody else. And like I said, this is pre-prepared at the commissary, so they've weighed it out for the whole group, and then it's just my job to divvy it up. Time for the carrot. Carrot, Scout gets 15. The rest is for Kiazi. Now Scout and Kiazi, their diet goes together because they're still fed in the same den as of right now. Like I said, these are the high value items. So these items are the ones that the DeBrazzas love the best. I would say their favorites are probably the apples and the oranges. Most primates, just like humans, love fruit. However, here in the bucket, we have their less high value items. So we've got some zucchini, a little bit of celery. This is a cucumber. As I'm doing this, I'm also looking at the quality of the produce, making sure that it's in good shape. We don't want to feed out our animals anything that's rotting on its way out, need of disposal. And the commissary helps us out with that as well. Obviously, when they create it, they're not going to put in something that's yucky. Like I said before, this is restaurant grade food. We get it from the same wholesalers that restaurants that you like to go to use. So it should be in good shape. So this is the common bucket. They've got their greens. They get this diet every single day. They also get novel foods. So novel foods are special things that they might like to eat outside of what's normally on their diet. They only get a restricted amount of those because obviously sometimes the things we like to eat are full of sugar. We all should have a novel food list probably that helps us make sure we don't gain too much weight or develop health problems. I also want to point out behind me, I'm standing right in front of our enrichment and supplements shelf. So some of the animals in the zoo have different supplements, just like we take vitamins and minerals based on our life, how old we are, things like that. We also have our novel foods and enrichment foods up here. We've got some oatmeal, peanuts, popcorn, peanut butter. Lots of our animals are peanut butter fans. The popcorn we do actually pop. We have an air popper, and we'll pop it for the gorillas. The DeBrazzas like it every once in a while. So let's chop up the greens, as I like to call them. This is the zucchini. Getting ready here.
There's one question about tearing. What does tearing mean?
Tearing. Oh, good question. So tearing, if you look at my scale, this is a good math competency. So the scale, it's unbalanced because it's in my hand, but it has the off button and the on/tear button. So when I set it down, it's off right now. So when I press tear, that means it goes to 0 grams. So for example, when I put Scout's bowl on, it's showing that she currently, this is 146 grams worth of weight. However, I want to put in one item at a time. I'm not very good at math. I guess I could do the math that the next thing that she gets is orange, and she needs 11 grams of orange. So I could either do the math, which I'm not going to do because we're live on camera, or I can press the tear button, which takes me back down to 0, and then it's just from the bottom. I can do it really easy. There we go, bam, 11 grams exactly. Now we don't always get exact to 11 grams. We try our best, but we're not going to worry about breaking a chow piece in half to get her, you know, exactly 11.5 grams of chow or something like that. All of the animals at the zoos have formulated diets that are specific to their needs. Obviously, certain animals eat meat, certain animals eat veggies, some are omnivores, which means they eat both. We are very careful about not cross-contaminating, so we have specific cutting boards and specific knives that we use for our vegetable produce. When we cut meat and fish, we have our own boards for that. We also have different cut gloves for that, different utensils for washing in the sink room where we do all our dishes. We're a full operation here. And I said this was a cooking show. Obviously, most of the animals eat raw diets. They don't necessarily get their diets cooked. However, some animals, like the tamarins, do get certain items cooked. That might be because it's more palatable to them when it's cooked. They just like it better. But it also can be for older animals when they have tooth issues. A raw sweet potato might be a little too intense for them. So we can chop it up and cook it. We have a microwave over there, and we can just steam vegetables in the microwave. We're a full operation here, better than any restaurant in Boston.
Who decides on how much food is given to each animal and what?
Good question. So diets are a team effort. So the zookeepers in the tropical forest are the ones who keep an eye on the animals day to day, but obviously our vet staff is very involved in their care as well. So there are these things called husbandry manuals that we in AZA accredited zoos have access to. AZA is an accrediting association that Franklin Park Zoo and Stone Zoo is under. Every 5 years we get accredited with AZA for high standards of care. So the welfare manuals, the husbandry manuals give us an idea of how much animals should be eating, what should be in their diet. Obviously this is all based on research of what they would be eating in the wild, how much they would be eating as they grow up, what sort of caloric needs they have. But here at the zoo specifically, we reference the research, the husbandry manuals, the keeper observations. So if we see an animal has finished their entire diet very, very early in the day, the keepers are going to raise the concern that, oh, you know, Scout's really eating a lot of her fruit very quickly. We should think about a diet increase. And once a week, all the diets in the zoo are reevaluated by the keeper staff. And if you need an increase, you submit it to the vets and our Director of Animal Resources, and they'll send it back updated. Some of these updates are just annual. For example, Scout, when she hits a certain number of years, it goes up. So this is her 22 to 26 month diet. It's hard to see here. I'll pull it down. And you can see it gives us a little directions. We've highlighted some of the big things. This is a probiotic that all our DeBrazzas get. They actually put that on the day of. So a lot of the supplements behind me get put on the day of because you don't want the diet just sort of sitting in probiotic all day. Also, the probiotic has to be refrigerated. So, all right, we're doing good. So these greens will go out tomorrow when the keeper cleans the habitat. They'll put the greens out with the morning enrichment, and then the animals will go out and share it. This is an interesting thing that a lot of people don't know, which we've talked about in previous Zoo to Use, is that most animals have a behind-the-scenes space where they spend the night. The same thing goes for the DeBrazzas, though they also have access to their exhibit overnight. Every morning we ask them to come in so that we can offer them these high-value foods. That's why these are divided up. So each of the animals goes into a separate den of the holding space and then are offered their special food so they don't have to fight and compete for it. Primates, just like humans, are very competitive. They have a social order, and we don't want somebody, because they're a baby, not to get all the food. So everybody's got their special stuff. They get split up, and they get to enjoy all the things that they love. Let's finish up this sweet potato. 16 grams for Scout. That's too much. Oops. She just needs a tiny bit more. And then, with this, the DeBrazza diet is done. So what we do is we cover everybody up to keep it nice and fresh. Where's my kip lid? Here it is. Again, everybody's is labeled. We're going to stack these right on top because they're all going to go together tomorrow. Johari. Oops, I forgot Scout. So Scout shares the den with Kiazi, so they're going to go together, but they still have their separate amounts so that we know. kind of crowded. I'll worry about this later, the lid. And then this is going to go in the fridge and be ready for tomorrow's diet. That's how we chef it here at Tropical Forest. I'd love to see if there are any last minute questions in the chat before we wrap it up. None at all?
There was one question about the pellets. What do they eat in the wild that these pellets, what kind of nutrients do they eat in the wild that these pellets might
That's a good question. So obviously these animals, like I said, are being offered human produce, things that we have cultivated on farms, broccoli, cucumber, apples, oranges. The foods that animals eat in the wild have a different nutrient content than some of those things. So even a banana, a wild banana, is not necessarily the same as a banana that we get from the Chiquita bananas at Stop and Shop. It's not the same. So the chows are formulated specifically to sort of bridge the difference. It's the same thing with if you feed a dog food. The dog food is formulated to match what they need in terms of vitamins and minerals, but you might also supplement them with canned pumpkin if they have digestive issues or things like that. So I'm not exactly sure how that formula gets created. However, let's look at a bag here. No, not this one. No, this one's not in a bag. Just a moment. As you can see, this is designed for adult iron-sensitive birds, ideal for toucans, arsaris, turacos, starlings, birds of paradise. So Missouri does a lot of these diets that are specifically for zoo animals. So this isn't necessarily, we just got this at Petco. This is a specifically zoo manufactured, extruded, is what they call it when it's in pellets, diet. And here it has all the information. So let's see. This one has, oh, that's in Spanish. Crude protein, crude fat, crude fiber, that's just the measurements of the basics, and iron specifically. So we select these chows based on what the husbandry manual suggests and what we have found they like. So for example, the bats, their chow has changed recently. The one that they used to have was actually out of production. So we switched them over to the Leaf Eater Mini, and they like that a lot. So yeah, it's really the difference of the produce that they eat in the wild is very different than what's cultivated on farms around the United States and around the world. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to go put this in the fridge. I thank you all for joining us here. I'll show my mustache one last time. All I have to say is next time you come to the zoo, watch our animals eat their diets and make sure you wish them bon appetit, chef's kiss. Cheers.